I like Larry, number one. Okay, I think he's a great guy, and I think that he's a highly significant artist. And I'd like to talk about what I mean by that, specifically in relation to his work. Um, I became aware of Larry probably in I'm thinking the late 60s, something like that. The first time I saw him was on a panel at the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston. And he was on a panel with Robert Motherwell, with John Myers himself. I think Kenworth was the moderator of that panel, if I'm not mistaken. You can check this out with him, but I think that he was the moderator. Because it was 1972, and he was definitely there at that time. Okay. Anyway, Larry was a very hot item in 1972, and he had moved from the dots to the ellipses, and he was getting into the pores. Okay, and I think that the feeling was that the majority of the audience, at least certainly the younger artists, were very interested in what Poons had to say. But Poons is not a theoretician. I think that he would be the first to admit that, and nor does he care about that. But he has a great capacity to speak on his own behalf in terms of describing how he thinks and how he works, and he's very intuitive on that level, very much like his paintings. I've written about Larry, I think, 3 times, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe Larry knows better than I do, but twice for the Brooklyn Rail and someplace somewhere else. But anyway, we've had our first significant meeting at Art Omai back in 1992. So he came up there and he did a critique with some of our residents, and his wife Paula was one of the residents at that time, Paula DeLuca, also a very fine painter, and I like Paula very much as well. And off and on we would see each other. I would go to his shows, and we would have conversations here and there. And I want to talk about his last show because I think so highly of it, at a combined exhibition at Danesi and Loretta Howard. I felt that that was a show of a master, in the sense that it's not that it was a show without doubt, but it was a show of a master, in the sense that there was a continuity between those paintings that was extraordinary. That is not to say that each painting did not have its own character and its own presence, because it did. But what I'm trying to say is that I felt he was just going at that group of work, which was also indicated in his previous show at Danesi, I think maybe 2 years prior to that, in a way that was totally confident, almost to the point where the consciousness element is not something he even had to consider. It was just there. And it was just an extraordinary show. And I think I more or less said that in the review. Do you have to know about painting to understand Larry's work? Probably. I think that it's possible maybe to not know about painting and to somehow grasp the color and the texture and so forth. But even saying that, to grasp color and texture is something that in the highly mediated age that we're dealing with today is expecting a lot. Most people cannot look at anything that does not move, okay? And if they do, they can only see it for a couple seconds at the most, and then they're on to the next. But let's put it this way. You know, elitism in art, hopefully, is breaking through class barriers. I've always believed that that could happen, and I still believe that it can happen. And I think that Larry is a good example of that, among other artists as well. That that his elitism is well deserved, not because he was born into it, because he made himself the painter that he is. And I have so much respect for that. Larry, that's great work.